Hey there, I'm Giga, and today's episode 10. We made it to double digits. And if you haven't watched the previous episodes, go check them out and subscribe so you don't miss out on the future ones. But let's get started. Today we're talking about food. And when I think about food in this life unlocked scenario, of course I think about going out to restaurants with friends and all of that fun stuff. But I also decided to think of what's the thing that feels the most far away from me nowadays. And what I settled on was street food markets. For some reason, when I think of street food markets, I always think of them in Asia, even though I've never been to one there. I've been to some in Africa or South America, and I just felt like it would be super cool to be at one of them right now, just eating something that I'm not entirely sure what it is. And because of that, I decided I should paint one of them. And since we're talking about not knowing what we're eating, let's just go over some of the weird things that I've eaten, which are actually not that many. I like to think of myself as a pretty good eater. I'll eat anything at least once, I'll try it, and if I don't like it, then I won't eat it again. Or if I think it's not worth it, then I won't eat it again either. Which is actually the case for one of the stories I'll tell you in a second. But so far, I think there's only two things that I don't like. One is coffee. I hate coffee with a passion. It's just super bitter. And if I drink a sip of coffee, I'll have the taste of it for the rest of the day, which is just so annoying. And I know I can put sugar in it, but I think if I need to put that much sugar in something, then it just defeats the purpose. And the second thing that I don't like is black licorice, which was a little bit painful when I was living in the Netherlands, because they love it. Every time we went out drinking to some bar, they'd get these black shots of something. I don't remember what it was called. It was like droppje? I don't know how to say it. Which was basically liquid black licorice. And it tasted horrible. But if your friends are getting you shots, you take them. And so I did. But other than those two things, coffee and black licorice, I think I'll eat anything. And I think by far the craziest thing I've eaten in my life was live octopus. Well, kinda. The octopus is not actually alive. Let me explain. So in Korea they have this dish, I guess? I'm not sure what to call it. Where you eat raw octopus. I was in Seoul, South Korea, visiting a friend who was studying there back in 2015, I think. And for her birthday, our Korean housemate decided to take us to eat this traditional food. So he takes us to the fish market where you see a bunch of fish, as you'd expect, and a bunch of buckets full of small little octopuses. I originally thought they were baby octopuses, and by the way, I think that's how you say multiple octopus, is octopuses. But they are just a different species. The friend just talks to them, and they eventually direct us to the second floor, where you have this sort of restaurant area. We sit around a table, we drink a bunch of soju, and just chill and enjoy ourselves. And a few minutes pass, I forget what we're there to do, and this guy shows up with a tray of little whitish octopus pieces with some sesame oil and seeds. Now, the weird thing about this is that the little pieces are still moving at this point. The octopus is not alive, but kind of I don't know if you've seen this, a lizard's tail that still moves a bunch after it detaches from the body. The octopus is the same way. So they chop it up into little pieces, but it still moves for a few minutes before it stops. And when you're trying to eat it, you just pick it up with the chopsticks, and it kind of grabs onto the chopsticks and even to the inside of your mouth with the little suction cups, which is a little bit weird, and I'm told it could be a little bit dangerous because I guess it's a little bit of a choking hazard. But now, does it taste bad? No, it's actually kind of good. It's salty. But would I eat it again? Probably not. I think it's a little bit too weird. Another weird food I've had, and this is weird in a very different way, was I went to Pakistan a few years ago to visit a friend, and you know when you're a white boy from a Western country, normally everybody tells you to avoid foods and drinking water from the tap because your stomach is not going to be used to it and you don't want to have, let's just say, stomach issues for the rest of the trip. And so for most of the trip we were just having home food and going to specific restaurants that our Pakistani friend would take us to, except this one time where we were doing a road trip from Lahore, the city we stayed most of the time, down south into the desert. And this road trip was supposed to take us like 4 hours, but because it was sugarcane season, the sugarcane trucks that were carrying the sugarcanes to get processed at the factories were just backed up for an impressive like 300 kilometers straight. It was literally like unbelievable. But the other thing that it was just very annoying because you couldn't drive on the roads, and this 4-hour road trip ended up taking us like 10 hours or something like that. And so we are in the middle of this road in the middle of Pakistan with no food actually like prepared because we thought we were going to have food when we got to the place, and we need to figure out something for food. And our solution was McDonald's. We passed by a McDonald's. And now this is the weird part. You're in the middle of rural Pakistan, whatever that looks in your mind. As soon as you open the door of a McDonald's, you can be literally anywhere in the world. It looks exactly the same. As soon as I passed those doors, I could have been in San Francisco, London, or in the middle of rural Pakistan. And I just thought that was funny. So we had our Big Macs and we kept going in our road trip. And it was one of the most incredible trips I've done in my life, Pakistan. And I really need to go again because I want to go to the north side because it has some pretty epic mountains. It would be so fun. But yeah, I think that's enough stories for today. So just remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.